In 35 plus years of doing this, I've never had a dispute with client over money. You're not buying a dispute with a smart-ass lawyer that's got, that can beat you at this, because I could insist on higher fees of that. We've grown large enough in this firm where the kind of fees that I've now given back in a year are in excess of $200,000.
Most firms survive, the best ones scale. Welcome to the Managing Partners Podcast, where law firm leaders learn to think bigger. I'm Kevin Daisy. Let's jump in. What is going on, my podcast listeners? Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in to the show. Love doing this, love learning from my guests, getting to know them, and hoping you find value in each and every episode. Still always looking for great people. So if you're interested, reach out. But today we have Barry Goldberg on the show. He's coming out of Los Angeles, California, has an amazing firm, does some very unique things that he's passionate about that makes him different. And every firm is different, which I think is exciting for us in the marketing world. So Barry, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I'm glad to talk with you. I've watched several of your podcasts, so I'm glad to be included in that company.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we chatted a little bit backstage. Jen Gore, we're in How to Manage with Her. I'm very familiar with that group as well. Arjun has been on the show a couple times as well. But great to see lawyers, engaging in masterminds and groups and getting together to learn from each other. And that, that's what the podcast is all about. It's just a different way to learn something. So tell us a little bit about your background, your story, and we'll get into some unique things here real quick for everyone listening. Barry has processes in place. He cares about his clients, the way he handles them, intake, and the whole process, client journey, I'd like to call it. We're going to dive into that today and what he does, and hopefully it'll be helpful too. So Barry, tell us your story. And your background. All
right. Well, I come from a big family that was basically born and raised in the West San Fernando Valley here, part of Los Angeles. And more or less, give or take, I've spent most of my entire life in this area. So I know lots of people. I know lots of organizations. I was the president of the San Fernando Valley Bar Association. My kids played soccer at every school or field around. And so I'm really familiar with the terrain. And so that starts this process of really knowing like the dangerous intersections and the proclivities of certain driving habits and that kind of stuff. I started out way back when with a defense firm that did a lot of insurance coverage and insurance bad faith. And then shortly thereafter, I jumped in with my brother, who was a personal injury lawyer, and I practiced in Beverly Hills with him for 17 years. That's how I learned how to practice law. And when my kids started getting a little bit older and I wanted to spend more time with them instead of commuting back and forth to Beverly Hills, I opened my own office, had no idea why or what and where I was going to go with that. And I sort of learned on the fly. Then I was one of these guys that assumed that since I'm the best lawyer that I know, that the phone should be ringing off the hook, and it wasn't. So I started this journey of trying to figure out what makes people want to call a lawyer and how to provide what they're looking for. And so that's kind of the background of my firm. I practiced for many years as a solo-ish, with a paralegal, maybe one or two support staff. And it was not a pleasant experience to make every court appearance, answer every phone call, lick the stamps, and all that kind of stuff. And as I started to reach out and read more, I found a couple people that said, hey, you can compete with large law firms and this is what you need to do. And then ultimately, as I started to grow with some of those ideas, I realized I had no idea how to manage a law firm. And so that's how to manage a small law firm kind of got into the play there. I went and talked to them at a convention in Las Vegas. and I thought, you know what, they could backfill a lot of stuff for me, and I still implement a lot from that. I still listen to Arjan's little snippets on Instagram and on Facebook as reminders.
It's sermons.
So what's that?
They're more like sermons.
Yeah, well, you know, I like, you know, if I can get a nugget out of that or a reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing, I feel like I'm still in that program without, you know, sort of the administrative stuff that goes with being in part of a program. So I respect that program a lot, and it's really, I wasn't able to implement everything that they said in such a short period of time, but over time I am implementing that, and I feel like we run a pretty strong office here.
That's awesome. Yeah, kudos to Arjan out there. Also, the name that he came up with is just very simple.
For me, it made good sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I know people like HTM, you know, they kind of pull it down to that, but yeah, great program. I heard a lot of good things about it. Obviously, you know Arjan, and we've had a lot of clients that are in that program. So just great stuff. I mean, it's interesting. You know, you started your own firm because you wanted more time. But as you stay small, right, it's, you know, it's definitely not what we hoped it would be out the gate. So, you know, we have to learn, implement, and build up our firms in order to, you know, create the firm that we really want to help the clients.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference in my life is that a lot of the firm is self-executing now. I spend a lot more time with my dog and exercising and stuff, and my wife too. And the income is a little bit more predictable, and you know, I think my lifestyle is a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the firm should be designed to, you know, fit within what you want in your life, right? So, it shouldn't run you ragged. That's for sure. Because that's, you know, you can't help clients if you're running around like crazy. You don't have systems in place, you know, you're just doing everyone a disservice. Arjan says that very clearly. You know, if your craft's not together, you're not running a good firm, then you're dropping the ball. You're not getting the clients. You're doing them a disservice. Some
of the disconnect that I had, and I don't know that Arjan and I disagree on this, but I mean, he's so stressing the business aspect of a law firm that I feel like I'm one of the few that really liked and looked forward to and respected the legal part and advocacy. And, you know, to jump into his program, you almost have to remove yourself from that. And like he said, unless you want to be doing that. And then the other thing that I've discovered over time, and I think we're going to talk about it, is I like clients. I like talking to them. I like solving problems. And now when I talk to people like yourself and other lawyers, I realize that I have actually a superpower. And that's what I kind of want to share with some of your listeners, is that they can have that power too. It's you just have to be intentional about it.
I love it. And one of the things you said, opening up there, was that you could compete with larger firms. Like someone told you, hey, you could compete with larger firms. And I love that because, you know, I talk to so many startups. I have clients that we do marketing for that are, you know, a year in the business or just getting started. And a lot of them feel in the beginning like, well, I can't compete with these folks. And so you are different. You're unique. You're a superpower. How you handle yourself versus kind of what you were told would be the right way to do it. You're doing what you want to do and what feels right. And that makes you different and makes you stand out from the other ones, you know, other firms in your market.
We're still competing against a lot larger law firms, and there's a very crowded space here in Southern California, as you can imagine, probably the most crowded space. Yep. But there was I'm going to go back to like the early reading that I did. There was a young lady by the name of Kristen Marquis, who has a marketing company here now she's in Orange County, and she wrote an article about how to be a ninja, like a lawyer, you know, to find those little cracks where you can get your cases. And I took that to heart, and I really worked it. And I still think that that's available for a first-year lawyer, which is simple. two things. You need to create content, original content. Okay. I know it's hard to find the time to do that, but you got to do it. You have to let the world know that you did it. Okay. And then if you're going to create content, you might as well make it focused into areas not only that you're interested in, but that you will become a foremost or a high authority figure for. And I was able to do that in California here. Some people argue that I might be the foremost authority on uninsured and underinsured motorist law in California. It's a very confused area, by the way, here. And to give you an idea of how confusing it is, I get at least 1 to 2 calls from other lawyers every day who have read my articles or blog posts and want to run their cases by me, get advice, get forms, things like that. And that was all done 12 years ago, when I started blogging on this particular topic. So, that's awesome. So it's evergreen and keeps on producing, I think is the point. And anyone can do that. Any young, lawyer starting out can establish themselves as an authority. And then, of course, there's more tools now than when I was. What I would do is I would come in Saturday morning, write 2 blog posts, push them out on whatever social media I used at that point in time on Tuesday and 1 on Thursday. Put it on my website, which increased the SEO, by the way. So I did it like I committed to it. Every Saturday I came in and wrote 2 blog posts. So but by 6 months though, the phone started ringing and I was amazed. I'm so old. I'm so old, Kevin. I can't believe that anyone finds someone online and hires them as their lawyer. I mean, it still blows me away. Okay.
Where's the phone book at? Come on.
Yeah. So.
Well, so to become an authority, you don't just do it once or twice, right? You committed and did it for a long time. And that's still sticky today, which is amazing. So, and yes, you can find the cracks and crevices. You can find the niches that the bigger established firms, maybe you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in those things. So yeah, everyone listening, if you feel overwhelmed or whatever, you can find something that is a good fit for you. Hopefully you enjoy doing it too, but look for those opportunities to where you can become an authority, and that could be a springboard to doing other things as well. So great advice. I do want to talk about, some of your processes there in the firm. And we talked about this earlier, backstage, I guess, if you call it, with your clients. And you like working with your clients. You like engaging with your clients. But you also, again, have a process for how you handle a client from start to finish and kind of what your goals are along the way. So I guess please share, more about that, and we'll just.
I have a little bit of a sales background. I don't consciously use sales techniques. But when I was a kid, I sold shoes, and then before I started law school, I sold furniture at a high-end furniture place. So it's very natural for me to sell. And then I think Arjan kind of identified saying selling legal services is sales. Don't try and be fancy about it. Don't say you're high and mighty because you're a lawyer. You're selling a service. Okay, so things started to click that way, and another thing clicked around the same time. I had a colleague in a business networking group. I was complaining to him that there was a perfectly good wrongful death case that I was really well qualified to handle, and they didn't hire me. Okay, I was crestfallen. I couldn't understand it. And he gave me a book, Robert Cialdini's Persuasion, which turns out not to be the exact right book. The right book was his next book, which was Persuasion. Okay, Robert Cialdini, if people don't know him, look him up. It's easy enough to find out about him. So the idea is, what's this customer journey going to look like? First of all, who's calling on the phone? What's that like for someone, calling a law office for the first time? And I can tell you this much. It's frightening. The expectation is that you're going to be bounced around to this person and that person. You're going to have to give tons of information, and then you don't get to speak to a lawyer, and then who knows? And then you don't know if this guy's working out of the backseat of his car or whether he's a legit lawyer. All this doubt that people have Yeah, spinning. So I try and take phone calls if I'm not in court or at a deposition or something. I try and take the calls from people, and first things first. And my whole staff is trained. We're courteous because we know people. As I said, people are nervous calling the law office. They don't know what to expect. They expect the worst, I should say. And then we try and help them on the phone if they are kind enough to call us. So sometimes it's just like, oh, you need to file a police report in this circumstance. You need to call this insurance company. Whatever it is, my staff and I try and help them on that when they call us. We're helpful. We don't have our hand out. We're not like, it's $500, then we'll give you the answer what to do with your towed car. It's nothing like that. We answer the question. We're there for them. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is that we want to answer all the questions. Like, I've seen this as a technique, especially with younger lawyers, is they're like, okay, well, sign up with me, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes of your case, and people want answers. Clients are better clients when they're educated. They make better choices, all of that kind of stuff. So spend as much time as necessary with a new caller. If we don't, let's say, I don't get the call right away. We send out a text message saying, hey, we want to talk to you about your case. Here are a couple of articles about our firm, or an article that I've written recently. So it starts to precondition that we're qualified, we're a professional interested in their case. A little bit about that. We use a program called HONA and Lead Docket.
And Lead Docket.
Yeah, and
both on the show, so
when a lot of my lawyer colleagues are just blown away that we do this, like schedule a call and that they get a reminder on text or email. When you go to the dentist, that's what happens, right? And so why wouldn't they have that expectation for a law office, that you contact them and follow up, and that you're in a schedule? They're not going to call at a time and go, oh, well, the lawyer's out. It's not going to happen. They get the confirmations and things like that. It makes them feel nice and warm and toasty that they're dealing with a professional organization.
And people forget or whatever.
That too.
It's a reminder. Like I talked about Domino's or Uber or those. They constantly tell you what's happening. Your car's on the way. They'll be there in 2 minutes.
It's the expectation. It's consumer expectation, and lawyers feel generally that they don't have to worry about that, and they're wrong. They do. This also stems, another quick story is, I got a call about someone who had just very, very serious motorcycle accident. And he was interviewing law firms at his house. It's like one of those movies. His leg was up in the air, on a pulley kind of thing, right? And I went there and I talked to him, and in front of me was very professional printed materials from other law firms, folders with the that and instructions what to do. And I had a manila folder and a business card, and I'm like, I don't have all the tools to compete for these cases. So it changes your mindset, which is if you were hiring someone, you would want them to have materials to explain what the process is, to show that you're not just doing this, the seat of your pants, that this is what you do, that you don't also do 3 other types of law and you're just trying to get this case in the door. So you want to have those materials with you, and it helps the confidence, I think, but for me, of signing up big cases. So
it's like having if your office was just a mess and not organized, how do they think you're going to handle their case?
That's right.
You're going to drop the ball, miss things, or maybe not organized.
Yeah, there was a speaker that I can't remember his name right now, but he said that the clients look at your car. Okay. And if you open the door and a bunch of junk falls out of there, that's not a good sign. And in fact, on sign up of a case once, I was at, I remember it was Huntington Hospital, and it was a very serious accident case, and the family liked me. And then I noticed they followed me out to the parking lot. They wanted to see what car I got in. I'm not saying that, these days, if, most of it's done digitally, but, that's the consumer mindset. So when we get that first call, here we are, we answer all those questions. And then every lawyer should have answers to the major objections internalized already, because that really helps sell a client, which is you're not like, well, I don't know how much your case is worth, or I don't know, how long this is going to take, and so forth. Sure, you don't have a crystal ball, and sure, you can't guarantee stuff. We actually did something. I swear to you, I'm the only lawyer that answers this question. But we audited 250 files, and we put down the date of the accident and the date that the client got the check. Okay. And then we averaged it, right? And in our office, it's pretty lightning fast that we get a client a check on average about 8 to 9 months. Okay. Now, a fender bender case can be a lot faster. A litigated head injury case is going to be a lot longer. But the client can say, okay, well, we'll start with the 8 months at this law firm, and my case is simple, or my case is hard. I love to give an answer, because they don't like saying, "Oh, it depends." That's the typical lawyer answer. So I like to have an answer to that question. The other thing,
I think that's great to have. You're not guaranteeing nothing.
Right.
It's just like when law firms ask me, if I hire you for your SEO, what's the results I'm going to get in 30 days?
Nothing.
Yeah, it's just something you can't give a strong answer. But I love having that average, because it's not just some national average. It's like, hey, based on our files for our clients, this is our average. I love that.
The other thing that you have to keep in mind is people are very suspicious of lawyers and the bad stories that go with them. So are you going to take all the money and give me a bunch of lawyer double talk? That's the main, I think that's one of the main objections, and I answer it up front. Now I'm not saying other lawyers should follow this. It's up to them. But I tell them up front that at our law firm, we never take more money than the client, ever. And then there's lots of good reasons why we could, should, and ought to. But I know the younger lawyers, if it says 40 or 45% on their fee agreement, that's what they get. Well, it's hard to get a 5-star review when you've taken more money than the client receives. Okay. So I weave into that conversation. Look, would you ever give me a 5-star review if I took more money than you got for your broken arm? No, of course not. Right. So we got you in mind. And then, one of the things I say also is that, look, you don't have to just take my word for it. Okay. We do something that's not required by the standard of care in California, but I think it's superior care, is that we do a preliminary distribution worksheet, and we never pay anybody until a client signs off, including the lawyer. And by the lawyer's fee, we have a little statement. I agree that this fee is totally fair. Okay. So I tell them, look, you're going to have an opportunity to check me at the end, and not just take my word for it right now. And that starts to condition them that I'm not trying to rip them off. Right. And I say, look, in 35 plus years of doing this, I've never had a dispute with a client over money. So that's not, you're not buying a dispute with a smart ass lawyer that's got, that can beat you at this. Cause I could insist on higher fees sometimes. Now we've grown large enough, in this firm where the kind of fees that I've now given back in a year are in excess of $200,000. Okay. That's a bitter pill to swallow for a small law firm. Okay. But I don't have, 2 billboards on Ventura Boulevard, that would cost about that for all year. My advertising is you. You're it. My fairness to you means that I'm going to get your neighbor's case and your mother-in-law's case when she gets run over by a truck. Those cases are coming to me. Okay?
I love it.
And so then I ask them at the end that if I answer all your questions, if we're responsive to you during the course of the case, and I get a great result, is it fair for me to ask for a 5-star review at the end of the case? And of course they're going to say yes, right? And even when they say yes, everyone that's listening to this knows it's not easy to get reviews even from very satisfied clients. The rate used to be about 20% for me, and now it's up probably closer to 75%. Because people will do it later, they mean to do it, and then they go on and they don't have a Google account. They got to say, no, we're not doing this.
Well, you're planting the seed very early, right out the gate. So you're not just, and I like that because everything you're talking about here, you're starting with the end in mind. So what are the objections they're going to have? Let's address them. Let's be very transparent.
And let's be crystal clear. Giving 5-star service is more difficult and more costly than not doing it. Okay. So this is like an investment that the whole firm has to be in on. Okay. There's a lot of lawyers that see this as a business, and that is sort of, an unnecessary expense, of taking phone calls, spending 5 minutes rather than 2 minutes. I could probably make more money in a year by really cutting down the customer service. And in legal services, the bar is so low that even anyone giving effort to customer service will excel, in my opinion. That's my opinion. So you don't have to be.
I call firms all the time, or even call prospects or a firm that wants to maybe work with us and get law offices. And you're like, just terrible. Yeah, it's pretty bad there. I know some great firms that do a good job, but that's why they've been on this show, and that's why they.
Yeah, and there's some other things. Some of it can be digitized. I mean, the HONA program for us, along with our case managers reaching out on a set periodical basis, when there's some kind of change in their case, they automatically get notified. So if it's gone, like they're done treating, now we're going to be doing a demand, they get a video. Okay. Now HONA has the little cartoon that's generic about, we're done treating, and and we replace those with videos of me. So the client gets to talk to me about what's going to happen next. And they like that. That's me saying, okay, we're doing a demand. What's a demand, and what's going to go in, and what can you expect? And so that's another touch that we have, with people. And, our John used to say, and this shows also dates him as well as me, is that there's this theoretical cocktail party that's going on, and you hear people complaining about their lawyers, like, I haven't heard from them in 2 years. I don't know what's going on with my case. It went south, that kind of stuff. And they're supposed to answer, well, Barry's my lawyer. We almost get too many calls from him, and and he did our case like bing bang, and whenever I called, he picked up the phone. So that comparison's supposed to take place. I don't think people have cocktail parties anymore. I don't know.
Not like they used to. Yeah, I love it. I mean, HONA is great. They're good friends of mine.
Yeah.
They have a great program, and there's a lot of systems out there that other lawyers listening can leverage. Barry was making this happen regardless. Now he's got some tools that are helping him make it more effective.
And we do some of the old school stuff, which is we do a shock and awe box for all new clients. It's loaded with jelly beans. It's got their copies of the paperwork that they sent us and retainer agreement. It's got what to expect. It's got whatever our latest thing is, letter openers, pens, things like that. So we do that at the beginning, so they feel like, okay, this is my stuff. We're engaged. I know that they're my lawyers, and it's all branded stuff, so it's out there. And then we send something 3 months later, and we send something 6 months later, and then we send something to past clients, including one more thing we do to touch clients is we do digital birthday cards with Starbucks cards in them.
Excellent.
Clients really seem to like that. I don't know if it's because the cost of everything is so ridiculous. Maybe people aren't going out for that, pumpkin spice latte like they used to. But now, this one's on Barry. So we do lots of stuff.
Love it. I mean, it's I haven't heard many firms, honestly, that do those exact things, or like a shock and awe box. I think that's more something like a marketing agency would send you a shock and awe box. So I think that's an awesome idea, and I think the old school methods or handwritten cards, things like that, are they're going to stand out even more today. Whereas everything is digital. So when they receive those things, so they can get the gift card, even if it's online, and go use it. Like imagine your law firm doing all that for you over an extended period of time. It's just really
saying we appreciate you. We do so much to have them call us. I mean, you're in the marketing space. I mean, I don't know what the cost is per client. I'm not that smart, but we do a lot to try and get them to phone, and then we're going to ignore our client list. I mean, that's insane. And when I can't go on TV or billboards, I mean, I need my past clients to refer, and I can't let them be sitting in front of the TV and go, I'm going to call that other guy, let's see what it's like with him. I can't afford that,
Yeah. Or if you help them, then they have a friend or family member that gets hurt, and then
that's my business.
They don't recommend you because they're just like, I did get a settlement and whatever, but it was not a great experience.
We run about 50% of our new cases are from referrals. I don't know if that's probably higher than a lot. The other 40%, the next 40%, I should say, not other, is like SEO type searches. And then the other 10% are various crazy marketing schemes that I've been, trying to use to move the needle, lately I've been spending a lot of my brain power, such that it is, on trying to hack and figure out AI search. And I was talking to a guy that does some of our marketing, and I told him this, I can't think of anything else that this is, I mean, if I miss this boat, then I'm missed, right? He says, well, if you figure that out, you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Please share. Well, everything's changing. It's something to step up and keep up with. And if any firm's listening, there's lots of different ways people can find you now, and that's changing pretty rapidly. So obviously, as a marketing person and agency owner, that's top of our mind every day. But you got the things that still work, and some time, like you're saying, to spend on areas that are new up and coming. Can you get in and ride that wave? Just like when YouTube came around, or TikTok, and so some things can be a distraction and might be too early to adopt. But some things aren't going anywhere. Like AI is definitely not going anywhere. So
yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a larger percentage. That's probably for another time to talk about. But the good news for marketers like yourself and lawyers that have been sensitive to this is your SEO as a platform for what's next is simply the best possible thing you can do. Everything else is, there's some little hacks that I'll share with you, but that's the basis of it all. You still have to be a found authoritative lawyer. So
yeah, which if you're unique, it's based on your reviews, your reputation. It's based on good content that's helpful to someone looking. That's the basis of it all. And that's why what's effective. Yeah, if you're doing good work and having great experiences for clients, and they give good reviews and talk about their experiences on Reddit and other places like that, you're going to win, no matter what platform comes along. And to you don't compromise on what you believe, and having those longer calls and answering the questions. That is your secret sauce, right?
Yeah. I enjoy it. So it's like not fair, that's of all the things I do in my practice, I like talking to people and solving their problems. And Who knew, way back when they said, Arjan says, well, what's your value proposition? What makes you unique? I'm like, gee, I'm experienced. I'm a nice guy, all this stuff, right? Who knew that my real value proposition was giving customer service and good legal advice? Who knew that it should have been, that should be assumed for every lawyer, right? But it's not. I'm a unicorn or something. It's crazy. So I understand the way that people are scaling their law practices. Some of the personal touch gets left off, but at least for us right now, this is how we work. And this is, if someone wants a law firm like that, we're here. So that's how we do it.
Well, I'm glad you're around and glad that you're doing it the way you're doing it. So it can be something for everyone to look up to and learn from. And speaking of that, everyone, thank you so much for listening and tuning into Barry. I mean, this guy's got it going on. I would say get to know him, connect with him. Barry, what's the best way for our folks to reach out and connect with you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they can call my law office anytime, which is 818-222-6994. They can send me a personal email. I will answer it if they have any questions. That's my initials, BPG, at my name, Barry P, don't forget the P, Goldberg.com. That's the best way. On other platforms, I mean, there's messaging and things like that they're glad, I'm glad to look at, but you can call me directly. Again, that's my style. And I think I told you in our pre-interview that since I wrote all that content on uninsured and underinsured motorist law and have become kind of a brain source, we do a lot of cases for other lawyers outside of California. So you don't have to be a California lawyer. If someone has a question about how we do it with a California insurance policy, I've helped people nationally with that. Or if someone from out of state is visiting California, is in an accident, don't understand how the uninsured motorist law works, I get lots of calls on that.
Excellent. That's great. Oh, yeah, please reach out to Barry, connect with him, especially if you have clients or cases that are coming up that require his expertise. Please connect. I always offer to people, reach out to me, through LinkedIn or any of my DMs through Instagram and just say, hey, I would love to meet Barry, and I'll be happy to do an introduction email or something like that for you. So, well, Barry, thank you so much. I love what you're doing. Thanks for sharing
Great. Thanks,
your story and some of it here today. I know we could talk about a million other things, but we'll leave everyone with that, and then I'm sure we'll have you on again soon to talk about some of the other little things that you mentioned and things that we can go down rabbit holes.
Next podcast, I'll tell you what I've been finding out on AI search hacks. Okay,
and I'm happy to contribute because that's what we're doing all day. I got people, looking into this and helping our clients with that all day long and trying to understand what's coming next. So that would be a fun episode for sure.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
Barry,
thank you, Kevin.
Hang out with me for a sec. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in as always. And we'll see you on the next episode. Have a good day.